single person thinking about a lot of different things. But so today we want to talk about a couple areas of dwell that maybe you feel some of these tensions, but then some of them maybe you don't know, and that's actually part of the problem. And this is all part of a new series that we are starting today, but over then the next 5 weeks after this, we will be continuing. That is called Enough is Enough. The series is going to be like, we're really going to look at this stuff, and we want to kick this off by really looking at that mental, spiritual, and then some of the physical things within the church that we feel those tensions. And so today is the dwells enough is enough, right? And so here, I'll hand it off to you because I'll keep talking when I don't need to.
Yeah. So we have dwell essentially has been like laying a foundation for several years. But God's calling us to move into the next phase, right? And so we need to look different. There's enough foundation. It's time to build. And the reason for that is because staying at this foundation point is not sustainable. If you keep just going out, you're not going to go up, right? And so we've probably lived in this foundation point like a little longer than we could have, but so today is like a little bit, I don't know if you said this, it's a little bit of like a come to Jesus meeting. You said it'll feel a little more businessy. We may feel a little dry. We may feel a little more like straightforward than you would normally get from us in a message where we're telling stories. And but we want to make sure you guys have the full picture. We may not have a ton of time for question and answer, but we are open to any of those questions. Today, our phone is open. Some of these things we're doing is going to help open up our couch in our living room more frequently. Questions. So the lack of time for questions is just, there's a lot here. We want to make sure we lay it out in front of you guys instead of, we don't want to answer your questions. Does that make sense? We believe in the call that God gave us several years ago, and we believe that you guys believe in that call. Otherwise, I don't think you would still be coming. God is on the move. He wants to do things through dwell that he doesn't have avenues in other places to do for people. He doesn't have avenues in other places to do it for. And it's time for our whole family to be on the mission, because our mission hasn't changed, but today we need to make sure the vision is really clear. So this is our mission statement. Dwell exists to create space for God in every head, heart, and home. You feel like you've heard that before? Hopefully every single week. Yeah. There's a reason we say it every single week. It's the reminder. This is why we do it. And we want you guys to know that actually every choice we make, this is where we're coming back to. Every change we make within the church, we're going to pause life groups. Well, how does pausing life groups create space for God in heads, hearts, and homes? Doesn't that take away an opportunity to be in community? No, it creates these new avenues for community. Different community helps to create space for our leaders to be healthy and their homes to be healthy and people not to stress. So why do we do a Sunday service? Because it's our mission. Why do we do life groups? It's our mission. Why do we ask you guys to be generous or invite friends? Because it is all a part of that mission. We also believe that as people create space for God and commit to this community to be your friends and spirit and support on this journey, you will start seeing in your life that your values are orienting to the values that God cares about. So here at Dwell, we have picked a few values. We did a whole series on these values last January, I think is when it was. And so it's on YouTube, it's on the podcast. If you have questions on any of the specific values, feel free to go listen to those again. We're always open. They're a good refresher. I want to go back and listen of when we wrote this, what was our intention? What was God speaking to us in that time? But this statement is kind of a compilation of the ideas of those values in one spot. We desire to be a people of faith, known for our love, living simply, freely, and in service to a community formed by God.
Um, we did this community survey. Thank you for everybody who did that. So here's some of the cool things that we really pulled out of this. Here's where we're feeling like this is a win, and we're doing our mission. And then we want to present. Here's the things where you told us that we're not accomplishing our mission, and not like failing. It's hey, we have something in front of us. Okay, you guys ready with me? I don't know if you guys, we're going to do a couple numbers in just a little bit. But in general, the survey results 92% of us here in this room say that we've grown in our relationship with God since we started coming to dwell. And those 8%, we're gonna do a witch hunt. No, like that's awesome. That's exactly what we're doing. If that was not at a high number, this conversation today would be a completely different conversation. It would be like, oh, we're bad at our jobs. You guys should have different pastors, because all the other things that we're going to talk about are just how to help maintain that continued feeling. But there is a tension in all that stuff. So 96% of people, of the surveyors, believe that dwell is a place where people in your life would encounter Jesus if they showed up. And there's, again, challenges in that. Somebody actually wrote a comment, and we, like I said, we're not sharing any people, whatever. One of the comments that somebody wrote was, my friends of a different faith would attend this. My friends of a different faith would attend, or my non-religious / non-practicing family would attend dwell. This is one of the two only churches and spaces where I have felt Christ's love every time, whether that's showing up through a sermon, song, or friend. We didn't write that. Like that wasn't our poetic writing. Someone else wrote that. That's why we do that. And that like puts gas in the car every day. 80% people feel that the sermons speak directly to their current life situations, which is actually kind of a high number because there's a lot of life experiences in here. And the fact that two married white people with 3 kids can help, and then any other voices that we try to invite here can help expand that 80% of you feel that. That's great. No one is displeased with Sundays. They're generally either very happy or indifferent. Like it's kind of like, hey, great. Like I walk in here, it's A+ every time, and then the other people are like, yeah, take it or leave it. Like, and not in anyways. So that's and you guys love the relationships that we have in here. Yeah.
Yeah. So anytime you gather comments, obviously there are the positive things, and then there are what in the business world we call these opportunities, right? Opportunities in front of us. So we didn't just get nice, pretty things. We also got real things. So here are some things we saw in the survey that you guys, the congregation, want clarity on why certain things need to happen to support dwell. I'll say that is like the crux of today, giving the why, giving the background, giving what it looks like. I am hopeful, we are hopeful that you walk out of here today, and anyone who watches this later feels they understand the why. And if you don't, we would love to continue to talk more about it. You all want to make more friends. We want more people to be a part of this community that we love. You like the deep messages based on books of the Bible and theology. You want more of those, more on mental and emotional health, marriage and relationships, spiritual practices. But then there are a few topics that a handful of people, but enough that it piqued our interest in a survey of 25, getting enough responses that topics like current events and social issues, you guys are asking us to be more cautious on our personal evaluation of that, potentially asking us to quit talking about that. A small caveat I don't want to get on a tangent of here, and something we likely have areas of improvement on personally, but have made great efforts, is when we are addressing a current event or a social issue, that is prayerfully considered and weighed against scripture. You'll notice there are hot button current events that you never hear us talk about in this room, and there's every time something happens, we have a conversation should we be talking about this or not? Is the purpose, is this us addressing this on Sunday morning going to create space for God in heads, hearts, and homes? The last thing in that, 90% of our people said that the number one reason they don't read their Bible, pray, come to a life group, serve on a team, implement some of these spiritual practices is because they can't find the time. We don't have time for it. So now what do? We have some good things. We have some areas of opportunity. I'm all about the practical. We're going to dig in a little bit, but this kind of boiled down to like 5 areas, 5 tension points that are thematic for Dwell right now. Is your watch talking to us?
Yeah.
It's trying to keep us on time. That's what it's doing. So here's the 5 greatest tensions in our church: finances, location, Dwell kids, our team, and attendance.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to start with finances. So I'm behind me. I'm going to put just a quick. We've showed this before, but I doubt anybody would remember this. But a quick pie chart of how we allocate our budget. So this is kind of one of the first opportunities to kind of talk about attention, which is salary. Here's attention. For 4 years now, we have not had a full-time staff member. But we have had a lot of people do full-time work. And so there are some people that do full-time work that they've stepped away. And then there's tensions where we've been doing the full-time work for 4 years now. And we are like, how long do we not have money in our home? Or how long do I have to work 2 other jobs, or Natalie worked 2 jobs? And so I want to show you those percentages based off of what a full-time, based around if we allocated the average single full-time salary income in Omaha, which is $50,000. So if you broke it down, the percentages, going from there, the total budget we would need to have as a church to run what we are currently doing, we would need a budget of $150,000 a year. And because those are like paper thin margins, that is how we need to run right now. But as much as we are growing, I don't want to take away from any of but just kind of explain the reality. We brought in last year $90,000 less than what we would need in order to budget healthy. And healthy means that we have a staff member who is fully covered so that they don't have to work anywhere else in order to take care of us. And so you might have felt that tension, which is, I don't feel like Eric and Natalie or James or Missy or Cassie and Tyler or any other leader who's been in a higher level leadership position. It's like, I just don't feel like I can get their time. Yeah, they're working a full-time job, a family, and are volunteering their time to little to no money. That is where we're at now. What our hopeful end goal, and end goal just means we will feel like we are arriving to sustainability, is that we are actually able to have full-time staff covering different areas of our church that we'll talk about. But here's what this would have to look like. I just want to put this out in front of you. We would have to be a 300-person church donating approximately $855,000 a year. We would also need some sort of venue that is between 3,500 and 6,000 square feet. That is to accommodate 150 or 300 people, however we do our service structures, which would probably be, like, based on the square foot to dollar, it would be about $100,000 just to be in the building, not run the power, the lights, or anything like that. But ultimately, this would look like 4 full-time staff members, 3 part-time staff members. So we'd be able to kind of help and figure that stuff out. We are growing, things are going well, and just so 2024 to 2025, we had a 10% growth which is great. That part, if you told a business, my business grew financially 10%, they would go, "What'd you do?" Like, they would like, "Cool, what lesson can I learn?" So thank you, like, that's awesome. But if we were to only grow 10% every year to get to that 300 person, $855,000 annual year, it will take 25 years from today. That's how long it would take for us to become healthy.
So this leads us to, do you have 25 years to wait? um, so the reality is, there have been a lot of times where we have questioned, do we have 25 more days? Definitely not 25 more years. And the community survey, the way you took it, actually existed from, we wanted to do something to figure out location. If we're going to start looking at locations, where will our church go? Where does our church not want to go? And it expanded in this moment of Wallace family tension, where some of you may have followed along, but we didn't get to, because of our obligations through Dwell and the 2 full-time jobs that we manage, we couldn't celebrate our son's 5th birthday together through a series of decisions and storms and fluke things, but we couldn't travel to the trip together in order to make sure Dwell ran, and then we didn't get to be together. And this is not the first time something like that has occurred that has kept us from being able to be a family the way that we want to. And so the survey very quickly shifted to, does our church want to keep doing this? Are we doing the things that we are supposed to do? So seeing those, Eric said something before, gas in the tank. Honestly, your survey results put gas back in the tank, and that's why we're sitting here today.
So we here's kind of the next thing that we want to try to create solutions. It's like, you guys, or at least what your surveys told us, you guys want to do this. We got some gas in the tank. Yeah, sorry. By the way, it's 11:30. If you got to go, I understand. We're going to put the recording up. We're going to burn through these. Yeah. Thank you guys. Sorry. Anyways. Okay. So how do we start relieving that? There's not a whole lot of immediate solution to the financial tension, but there are things that help then make some of that stuff possible. One of those being new physical space. We need to get a new physical space.
We need to not be in this building. This building isn't functional.
Hear every kid.
You can hear the kids.
People are moving. Things are clicking.
There's set up and tear down fatigue in our team. We don't actually have space to grow. We don't have, yes, we have empty seats, but there's a general rule in churches that you want to be 80% full, and then you will not attract more people if you're fuller than that. And you need to start looking at a second service. Who thinks that our church right now could handle a second service? Yeah. Great. So it's not an option, but we need more space. Also, downtown is a mess. On a good day, there's people who won't come downtown for things, and downtown is not living in a good day and is not going to live in a good day for a while. Unfortunately, it is ultimate growth will be great for the city, but the parking frustrations, the construction, it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, and we're here because we have an incredibly crazy deal to be in this place. We have, again, conservative in this area, so we can be generous in these other areas. We got to start switching some of that. And so survey results, I'm going to put a map up behind, well, Cody's going to put a map up behind me. This is the overwhelming majority of surveyors said in this green box is where you say that we should put a church. You said that if we put a church there, 15 of the surveyors said they would show up to church more often if we had a church in that location. We're going to start looking for a venue in this green box. Next thing that that's all, by the way, the updates that we have, because until Natalie and I are able to step out of day-to-day operations, we can't look for a building because that is a lot of work.
Yeah. Next thing, so perfectly timed, the tension of Dwell kids. Love our parade of loud, lovable children. Let me be really clear. The children are not the problem. We love all of the children. We want to provide a better experience for our kids to encounter Jesus, be safe, and have fun. Something that part of why this jumps out in the survey is that there were 9 people who completed the survey who marked this like, I have kids, let me tell you about the kids' experience. And about half of those responses pointed to significant tension in the care we are able to provide for our children. This is important because, listen, kids and families grow churches. Kids and families grow churches. Be fruitful and multiply. I will tell you, y'all have done a good job of that because our average ratio of children in the room to adults in the room is about double the national average. That is part of our problem. Way to multiply, guys. Good job.
We've done our part.
We did our part before it started, okay? Some of these friends still multiplying. It's good. We love all the babies. Love the babies. So we have because of this, we have a high kid to volunteer ratio. I will preface this. We are watching state ratios always, and we will always adhere to the minimum level of safety. And if we can't adhere to that, we will close a room, or you will see me out of service in the room or serving. We're not worried about true safety. Is something going to go wrong? We're worried about that feeling of safety, that feeling of comfort, that, you know, kids are kids. Someone's going to get hit with a ball in the head too hard at some point, no matter what we do, you know? But we have strains on the physical environment. Because of this, there are a handful of families we have lost in Dwell's lifetime because we cannot care for their family in the way that their family needs at the time, which is always a rough blow. It is what it is. And we firmly believe in people being churched in a church that works for their family. And you'll never see us.
We have sent families.
Yes.
Because we said we cannot provide what you're asking for. Not because we don't want to. We're just because of this.
Yeah. And here's 2 things that I think really, really highlight. While there are a lot of kids in our program that love coming to church, there are also a handful of kids that do not want to walk into that room. And there's a couple different reasons for that. And there's a lot of it has to do with space and not being able to break out our ages the way that we need to. Currently, we pay 1 to 2 people every week from outside of our church in order to care for our children well. On a Sunday like today, we paid 3 because we want to make sure everyone gets to come into the family meeting. On some of our holidays, we pay more, but we actually have to pay 1 every week in order to just function. So there's this perception that we're covered, but actually we're bleeding a little bit in this area.
Who here serves in kids? Okay. That's why we have to pay for somebody. There's not a clean way to say that. Because one, this is now a really small group, and very few are able or willing to serve in an area that is might actually, not even finances, might actually be the cause of Dwell not existing. We could be in a new location, but no one volunteers. Who gives a rip? I could have $1 million facility, but if everybody's like, great, it's like, but those hands that raised, we're not paying you, but we are paying somebody. Is that fair? No. And I don't feel good about that. But we have also stood up here and asked over and over and over again. So passively, we've just gone, we'll just pay for this. And it looks like it's taken care of, because the other cost is you might leave because kids are too loud in a service where you're trying to get your thing, and you have already told us you don't like kids.
So solutions to this. A physical space will help solve a lot of this. Location, permanency. If our kids team doesn't have to set everything up and can get out of here, then it will be easier. It will be easier to serve. We can focus on teaching kids well and learning tactics to help manage behavior and different things. And team growth. We need more people. We need more people to say, yes, I'll serve once every 4 weeks. I'll serve once every 5 weeks. I'll serve once every 6 weeks. We make it really easy to serve in that room as long as you're ready for kids. And thank you to those who are serving in this area already.
we need to create a system that is able to onboard people to be a part of something, make it as easy as possible to serve, and at the end of the day you feel like you were effective and probably tired. Yay, that's, all the stuff we're doing. But if it's every week, that's useless. We one of the other survey results is I'm tired. I'm doing stuff every week and I don't feel like it's effective. Cool. So we've been kind of soft rolling this idea in our leadership team. We meet on a biweekly basis. We've done weekly. We've done all this stuff, and in an effort to just try not to. This is our insecurities. We don't like hierarchies. Because it creates like a yuck system for me. But because of that, we have not had clarity. So we're creating kind of just like a general, like, kind of get in the game mindset related to being what it means to serve, and just truly kind of committing to the name team. Okay, so in a team, it is not simply just the players, but it's top down. And so you look at owners, coaches, captains, players, and then there's fans. So so Natalie and I are the owners. Okay, we own everything. We're the ones who pay bills. We're the ones that do this, and our job is the organization as a team to make sure all of it is running forward. But owners do not manage players. But that is currently what we have done, are doing, to try to make it easy for all these other people that are saying yes, where there's no weight on the things that we're doing. So as owners, what we should be doing is focusing on preaching, teaching, pastoral care, and then other projects like location searches that are in partnership with the overall vision. The next layer is coaches. So here a coach is somebody who oversees one of 4 rooms in our church, one of 4 areas of our church. We have our services area, you're sitting in it, then our kids, we then have our connect areas, and then there's an invisible one that you don't see on Sundays, which is our ministries. That would be life groups, Do Well, which is our community outreach, and just overall spiritual development. That's kind of a vacancy right now, completely. So our current coaches, we love this, but James Mankel is the coach of the services room. And then Missy Hennings is the coach over our kids room. The role of the coach is to look at the bigger picture of the team. What do we need to train? What do we need to learn? How do we make things better? And ultimately equip what we're calling captains, a team captain, right? A team captain is on the field playing, helping make immediate calls, making things happen. And so we have 2 current captains, both in our services area. And so that Cassie Burkle is overseeing our worship specifically in this room. And then her husband, Tyler Burkle, oversees the production side of that. So then lastly is the players, Team Dwell. Every single one of us, hopefully, I'm looking around, I think all of us are mostly saying yes to this. It's those who serve. You're scheduled once or twice a month in 1 or 2 areas, not all 3. And 2, we wanted to make sure you're focused in one and live out callings, not just fill in spots. And so here's kind of where it comes down to. There are a few needs in this staffing stuff. We need a connect coach now, and we need a kids captain now. All the other spaces that we could fill up are somewhat negotiable. In order to get Natalie and I out of seats and to empower leadership, we need those now. We are looking, if you're interested, we would love to put a position description in your hands, because we have that to let you know what the yes and no means. What's really cool is our coach and captain roles. Since Natalie and I are a full-time job and we're able to cover it, we were able to take our income that Dwell paid us and divvy it out to these 2 roles. So I hope that this sounds exciting to you guys, people who are spending 10 to 20 hours additional on their work week, we are now as a church able to help compensate. It's not as much as we want to, but it is enough to say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking time away from your families, your leisure schedule, different things like that. And so but all of what we can do, we've talked about this and hit it before, we need more players. We need more people to say yes. If you are saying yes consistently and showing up on time, ready, prepared, all of that good stuff, not having to have somebody chase you or reach you. And then the other yes is those who are already on the team, I don't need you to say more. I just need you to do what it is. And we are going to work to make that as clear as possible. And then we need, and this is to the camera, honestly, not totally into this room. We need people who haven't said yes to say yes so that we can delegate and become a healthy church. More participants, more of this creates consistency. It unifies the church, not just around like an idea, but an actual vision. And then there's like this ownership aspect of it, right? So all of this, then we need to look at this kind of big final thing, which is our attendance. Do you want to kind of breeze through this section too?
Yeah. So we need more people to have more players in general, right? And so we talked to you all a lot about inviting. One of the good news, a practical next step we're going to do is we have our series right after this is set on the book of Ruth. You asked for more theology. We're excited to go through that book. The series after that, we're going to do a series on witness. How do I invite? In your survey, you said either all my friends go to other churches. Well, make more friends. Jesus was friends with people that weren't always in church. So that's something we can work on. But then also, how do I invite someone? How do I share my story? But in 2025, our average weekly attendance at Dwell was 26 adults and 11 kids. The number of people who come to Dwell 3 or more times this year is 51 adults and 26 kids. So what if 77 people showed up to church here next Sunday? This is what we face every holiday that we host. What if 77 people? There are only 55 of these chairs. The reason there are 55 of these chairs is because the fire rated capacity of this building is 55 people. Our Connect and Services team would manage fine if we had this amount of people. This room would feel full. If we were next door, we'd probably be okay. In the bigger room, we'd be okay. Our kids' rooms would crumble. I mean, we have hit these Sundays a couple of times. They would crumble. We are physically unprepared for this number of people, and then visually we don't feel that large. One of the things that is interesting in the survey, 2 things you all thought might keep someone coming back to Dwell: the parking and construction and like ease of getting here and getting into the door. And the second thing was it's too small.
So here's what we need to do I want you guys to remember this number that's behind me, which is 75. 75 is going to be kind of our mile marker to indicate that when we are hitting this, it means we are hitting these other things. Just a few things we really quickly, we want to grow opportunities for communication, community, to open up the doors for people to be a part. So we need a larger life group system. Life group will always be our one-on-one connection process. Currently with only 2 life groups. That's Tuesday and Thursday, and what do we do with the other 4 days, because we won't do one on Sunday? What do we do with those other 4 days that you might be available but you can't get to it? Well, if you're available, run a life group. We need to create more of those spaces. So we're over the summer, some of the break is us creating a system that makes it easy to be a life group leader. You don't need to be a theologian, you don't need to be a teacher, you just need to be a friend. And that could be a friend to your existing group or a group that exists within Dwell. We'll talk more on that type of stuff. We need to get away from this when mentality and get to more of a who mentality. So when we say we need more volunteers in our kids ministry, the first question I want your brain to go is, when is the breaking point? That's what you're normally thinking. I want you to go, who is that person that helps alleviate? Am I that person? Or when I say we need to get to a church of 75 people consistently, and right now we have 22 people in the room, a 50-person jump is a lot, but we have that in our church, but we all don't show up on a regular basis. And it's like, this is the business side of it. I don't know. And then, so like Natalie said, we're going to do a teaching on on invitations. This is a ton of freaking information. Okay. We got to be done. We've been here forever, and we have to tear down. And you guys are tired. I'm tired of hearing myself speak on this type of stuff. What's really important. I am the biggest fan of Dwell. You're the second biggest, because I'm the biggest fan of Dwell. Small margin, but there. I don't know. We love this church, and we really believe we can do something. There's a reason why you're sticking around. There's a reason why you said yes. There's a reason why you keep showing up, and you may not have been able to voice that, but hopefully you heard some of this and it voiced it for you. But then you also go, why isn't this working? I don't know if you've ever been like in a dating relationship or with a spouse or with a friend, and you're just like, we work together, but why is it not working together? And it's because there's all these things that both sides or one side's not willing to do to make it grow and be healthy. So we want to eliminate that. If we're going to be in a relationship called family, let's all kind of do our part. Amen.